Okay, welcome back. Our next speaker is Nick Cox, head of product at Yellowbrick. Remember to use theater mode to maximize your view. Nick, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. Hey everyone, my name's Nick Cox and I head product management here at Yellowbrick. I wanted to start by perhaps stating something fairly obvious to myself and anyone who works at Yellowbrick, but we're a data warehouse vendor. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our value proposition and our architecture. But as a vendor, we supply a wide range of enterprises, many of whom are global names, and they cut across finance and healthcare, insurance, telecoms, manufacturing. And from our interactions across all of those different verticals, it's clear that there are many businesses growing and adapting to new technologies. And that's a pretty common theme. But for finance, for insurance, for healthcare, these are perhaps unique among their peers in terms of the age of their professions. So being a finance or insurance company often means that you're able to trace your roots back hundreds of years in some cases. And any firm with that kind of pedigree carries, kind of by definition, a great deal of legacy infrastructure. So healthcare is a great example of an industry that's seen tremendous merging and acquisitions. It adds complexity to an already highly involved IT operation stack and back office data application pipelines. These issues come across loud and clear each time we speak with our customers. There are strong themes around bringing together disparate data repositories, breaking down silos so that new value can be derived, whether that's through a new approach to analytics or simply removing the fragmentation that's enforced by those silos so that you can get a true customer 360. Likewise, there's a common goal in digital transformation that runs parallel to the removal of complexity, and that is, let's reduce cost. I've never had a customer come to me and ask to spend more on any infrastructure. As insurers, healthcare providers, financial providers, your business is your business. It's not operating data centers. So is the cloud the right move for some or all of your business? It depends. If I move to the cloud, am I exposed to new security issues or difficulties with data gravity? These are the questions we get on a recurring basis. So those are some of the emerging challenges for data warehouses in general. When it comes to the current solutions, you're probably fairly familiar with the limitations in the central column on this slide, and I'm going to pick on just two of these. So over the last few years, a lot of the excitement in the industry has been focused on the cloud, and the conventional cloud data warehouses have frankly revolutionized the user experience, the management experience, and overall agility. With all that positivity comes the issue of expense, and frankly, they're expensive to use at scale. Once you get past a certain limit, whether it's either the amount of data or number of users, things get very pricey, things become unpredictable, and furthermore, migrations become very complicated. There are very few companies that can really afford to take the risk of burning all your ships on an outbound migration to the cloud. In some cases, you also have workloads that simply can't migrate to the cloud anyway. Data is becoming more distributed, not less, and especially as data is produced outside of data centers, we see that distribution increasing greatly. So often data needs to stay on premises because of security or because of compliance reasons, or simply because it's too expensive to move and centralize. The conventional cloud data warehouses do a very poor job of addressing these distributed data challenges. And so if you're not using the cloud, you're likely using one of the legacy enterprise data warehouses. So those include Teradata and Netezza, Oracle, SQL Server. And these are all great solutions. They've been around for a very long time, and they're expensive to buy. They're expensive to scale, and they're very inflexible in case you need to, and in every case you need to hire a team of technical specialists whose job is essentially to keep these things viable by constantly optimizing the performance. It's the care and feeding that is the death of a thousand cuts with these types of products. And this is why many customers that we speak to are very busy re-platforming their data warehouses off those types of platforms. So ultimately, the question comes down to, what is it the customers really want from us? And what we're hearing is that people demand more than a data and analytics platform. They want uniformity. So we deal with customers that have, I'm thinking of one in particular, that has over 20,000 data silos around their organization. They can't find their data, and when they find it, they can't share it. They don't know what data they've got. If they do find it, they don't know if they can use it because the person that put it there is gone. The quality and provenance of that data is not great. So really what they're looking for is an integrated data architecture. Data warehouses are not known for their easy-to-consume user experiences, and the days of command-line-driven interfaces to a data warehouse, I think, are behind us. And we really want to appeal to a citizen data scientist, to a developer, to provide a more web-driven user experience that makes it easy to consume Yellowbrick, and also for our developers to program against us through APIs. So while customers are looking for all of this, they also don't want to have to worry about the care and feeding that I mentioned with the legacy platform vendors. They're looking for a product that scales to a workload. You don't want to tune or administer it. And all of that needs to handle real-time use cases. So that's essentially what we set out to build with Yellowbrick. So we think as a company that all the limits that we've just discussed are something that you deserve better than. Now, we have a set of values that unify us and our customers, and they kind of map to what we deliver in our roadmap. First, we deliver excellent economics. So essentially, we think of ourselves as providing the best performance that you're going to get for every dollar spent. It's frankly the most important factor to long-term customer success with any data warehouse. Our second value is the recognition that data is becoming more distributed across private data centers, across public clouds, and eventually the network edge. Data is more distributed, not less, and data warehouses have to address the challenges involved. So a great example here is that data can be expensive to move, and moving it can add latency to your analytics. The way to address this is with a truly cloud-native architecture that allows you to deploy a data warehouse anywhere on any infrastructure and to manage those as a logical or distributed cloud. Now, Yellowbrick itself is easy to manage. We have no manual indexes, no tuning, no caches, none of that is needed for peak performance. There's no care and feeding with a Yellowbrick system, it just works. We have a Yellowbrick manager which allows you to manage all your instances, all your databases, all your users, as well as easily load data, query, and explore data from the browser. Our third value is really that it's really kind of the insight that although batch analytics will always have a place, and it's not going anywhere for many new use cases, real-time analytics is the standard to meet to ensure complete accuracy in your decision making. And finally, a big value for us is that the customer shouldn't have to hire consultants to understand their bill or a dedicated staff to monitor and govern the product usage. Instead, data warehouse pricing should not only be lower, but more predictable from month to month. By having a predictable, performance-driven, by a common architecture that brings the best performance out of any deployment type, we're going to have a solution that meets our customers' needs. So today, Yellowbrick supports data warehouses in production that range from just a few terabytes all the way up to 5 or 6 petabytes and growing rapidly. And it's our ability to scale and our widely supported interfaces, custom tooling to load data, bulk data at huge speeds, as well as to handle real-time ingestion. We support all of that whilst delivering excellent concurrency. And that makes us ideal for supporting use cases such as real-time fraud analytics, at the same time as complex data mining from a citizen data scientist, all on the same instance. And we combine all of that into one product, and that is a transformative solution. So that's kind of a marketing pitch, I guess, as to what it is that we do. So the obvious next question is, how on earth does Yellowbrick do that? That sounds too good to be true. So I'm not going to go into deep detail here. If you'd like to learn about the approach that we take in general, I'd really urge you to watch a Yellowbrick keynote summit that's available on our website from Neil Carson, our CEO, who goes deep for about 20 minutes on many of the architectural and technological innovations at Yellowbrick. That said, there are a couple of things that I did want to point out on this architecture diagram. The first is that there is a data ingestion method for any use case that you may have, whether it's batch or to change data capture to streaming at the rate of millions of rows a second. So that really covers any industry use case you can think of, whether it's by batch financial close workloads or whether it's real-time fraud detection. Second, Yellowbrick has an innovative adaptive cut-through architecture that bypasses the Linux kernel wherever necessary. And that's something that Neil covers in great detail in that keynote. But essentially, it allows us to get the best performance available on whatever infrastructure we run on, whether that be a physical or virtual instance, such as a virtual machine or a container. Thirdly, this architecture is well on the way to becoming fully cloud native. And that means that we will run virtually anywhere. And that includes public and private clouds, and eventually at the edge, with all data warehouses managed by a single unified control plane. That simple user interface is key. So, what do we focus on given all that? Well, as I said, price and performance are key to adoption and retention of any data warehouse. And we want to break that price performance limit. We want to do it for every use case and for any amount of data, whether it's those single terabytes all the way up to multiple petabytes. So depending on whatever the use case is or the amount of data involved, our customers are telling us that they see analytics acceleration of 100x and beyond. And I'm including here Teradata and Redshift, Snowflake, Netezza, you name the platform, and we have a customer who has accelerated their analytics considerably. And they're also paying a lot less money for that. And again, it depends on what you're comparing to, but we have customers who are paying 20% of what they were paying, and that's for thousands of users simultaneously. We're not talking about tens of users like you'll be supporting with something like Databricks or even Snowflake without having to spin up multiple virtual warehouses. We're talking thousands of users. So it's a very high scale, very high performance data warehouse at a very affordable price. So I'm going to close by reminding you guys, I'm a product guy, not a sales guy. So I'd much rather have my customers' experiences do the talking. So I just wanted to put a few use cases in front of you right now. These all happen to be from insurance because I think insurance is one of those industries that kind of cuts across a wide gamut. I mentioned earlier on, these companies such as healthcare, finance, and insurance that have been around for a long time, having to deal with migrations and change, getting out of the business of being in data centers, having to deal with real-time and batch, having to deal with data lakes that they want to get better usage from, and to deal with a range of a few users doing kind of month-end batch processing kind of reports, all the way through to thousands of concurrent real-time interactions. So just kind of rapidly to go through these, top 5 global insurance, they're one of the biggest insurance companies in the world, and they replaced Oracle with Yellowbrick as the data warehouse platform of record. So Yellowbrick is used for everything there, from HR analytics, where the company has got millions of employees, to monthly claims and ratio processing. And that's something that took 2 days to run on Oracle, and it now takes just a couple of hours on Yellowbrick. Over in Europe, like many insurance companies, we have a top 5 global insurance company that runs their end-of-month claims ratio reports, and those involve very large batch loads. So historically, this is something that would take a day, just over 24 hours to run on Netezza. And when there were errors in that process, new data was added, that could extend that whole run to 2 to 3 days. And with Yellowbrick, the whole process takes less than 1 hour, and that includes data loading and querying. Back in the US, in terms of healthcare, we have one company, a top 10 Blue Cross Blue Shield company, who were getting pretty minimal business value out of their Hadoop-based data lake. They had Apache Hive, and that was far too slow and unreliable to support viable business. They had a community of about 1,000 users, and originally their plan was to use Teradata as a high-speed query layer. But during testing, they found that Yellowbrick could complete those queries in seconds, something that Teradata would take minutes to complete if it could complete them at all. And lastly, in terms of the auto insurers, one of the largest auto insurers in the US can now complete their quarterly financial close process 5 times faster on Yellowbrick versus SQL Server. And their query processing times for actuaries have gone from hours down to seconds. So, incredible performance boost for them. And earlier I mentioned acquisitions and mergers, and this is a company that's going through that. And with that Yellowbrick instance, they're now confident that they can support the onboarding of 40,000 additional actuaries over the next couple of years due to that merger, all on the same system. Anyway, I think that's enough overview of Yellowbrick and the use cases that we support. Hopefully there's something there for all of you. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Nick. If you have questions, take them over to the Yellowbrick booth in the exhibit hall. There you can use the discussion, leave your card, or during exhibit hall hours, you can join their live meeting. You can also find a demo from Yellowbrick available on demand in our demo theater. Coming up in just a moment is TDWI faculty expert Prashanth Sothakal, who is going to show you how to drive maximum analytics adoption through embedded solutions. I'll see you there.